4 copper coated steel washers. I know they're steel because they're magnetic. Got dome nuts on top. The 2 shiny ones at the front and the less shiny ones at the back. Now I made a right pig's ear of taking this out. Hopefully I'll do a better job of getting it back in there. There is an orientation where it should just go in. What do you know? The only question I have is the cam facing in the right position for setup? Okay, I was very proud of myself because it went in first time without any dramas, and then when I read the manual I realised I should have put it through the chain. So out it comes again. Okay, let's try again. It was easy without the chain, and there's more of a fiddle with it. Come on. There we go. There we go. It's just about luck more now. So, the cam chain is now on here, so theoretically I can undo the cable ties, but just for now, humour me. It is time to fit the freshly painted case. Without doing that I can't set up any of the timing on the sprockets. So. Okay, that reused seal I think is going to be fine. There's plenty of flex in it to allow us to tighten up against it. The neutral switch cable I'm running over the back of this. It looks like the most logical place to put it. Don't forget to install your upper cam chain tensioner. If you don't do it now, you won't get a chance once the cam sprocket's in. Time to fit the cam sprocket. This could be a battle because I've got to get this little mark above this hole lined up with this notch here, at the same time as having the chain in the right position and keeping the piston at TDC as marked by the bottom rotor. So please bear with me. There may be some fast forwarding in the editing. Right, get that roughly right, which would be about there. Get the chain on it by dropping it down and feeding it on. Sorry, I am talking to myself more than anybody else. Oh, I'll tell you what won't help. Let me wind down the tensioner a little bit. Right, how we looking? We're off here. We're not right. Back we go. Need to go round sort of by one. So just sort of jump it around by one. Easier said than done. A bit. Go on. Go on. View over. So let's try that. There's still a lot of tension on this chain. I can't quite get it onto the sprocket, onto the cam. That's looking about right though, because we're at TDC down the bottom here. And the little mark here, O, is opposite this notch, so the chain's in the right place. Good. Now all I've got to do is somehow get the sprocket onto the... Could just be a push. It is just a push. Oh, that wasn't as bad as I made it sound. Right, they're loosely in. I don't know if you can visualise it, but down the bottom on the rotor I've got it set to TDC. Okay, above this bolt between the chain, you might be able to make out a little witness mark, and at the very top here there's a little notch, and there's no reference in the manual as to whether the cam should be up or down, but I suspect the Honda engineers have engineered it so that it goes in ready to be fitted without messing about. So I think we'll run it through a few cycles in a bit just to make sure it's right, but I think that's right. Okay, this is an important note. I woke up in the middle of the night and realised two things. One is that I'd forgotten to put the rubber seal at the bottom of the cylinder, so first thing this morning all this came back off and went back on again. And the other thing had been puzzling me was that the manual says that you just insert the cam and then set up the cam sprocket with the marks lined up here, which is exactly what we did. But when I rotated the engine, I realised that the clearances were never going to work on the rockers. And what you need to do, and what the manual doesn't specify, and I've been through it several times, is that once you've inserted the cam, it has to be rotated 90 degrees so that the lobes are facing down rather than up. Otherwise you're trying to set your valve clearances between the two lobes, and that's never going to work. So so that's a really important note. So I mean, I've said this before, I am a beginner at this. This is only the second engine I've ever done, and the lack of information like that can really lead you into some pitfalls. It's time to torque the head up now that we've got the cam chain on, and we've got to go up to 18 Newton meters, which isn't a great deal of pressure, I don't think. So I'm just going to work it up. I'm going to start at 5, then I'll jump up to 9, and then go up to 13, something like that. That way you should get a more even tightening of the head. At least that's the theory. I'll start it up on 5 Newton meters. Just that should be 18 Newton meters this time. So to hold on to. Stop moving. Worried I'm going to punch myself in the face. There we go. Good. Time to reassemble the engine cover. Been dead precious about it because I don't want this surface to get messed up. Followed by a washer, followed by a 10mm nut. Next we've got the clutch actuator, which I opted to leave unpainted for no other reason than I totally forgot about it. Next we have the spring that looked like a snail. Well, I thought it did anyway. Okay, and then we have the cam. followed by the washer and then the split pin. And the washer domed outwards slightly. The split pin, which way in did that go? Now I know you're not supposed to reuse split pins, and I have got other split pins, but I am going to break that rule on this occasion because that's just the right length. That's it. Next up is the new seal for the tachometer, which in the previous video I kept calling the speedo. Got the washer, which originally I thought was an insert, but it's not, it's just a washer. Let's see how easily this goes in. I'm going to try and use the old seal to drive the new one into its correct position. I'm a bit worried though I won't be able to get that back out again if I'm not careful. Right, I'm going to try the socket method. I think I was trying to be too clever with the old seal. It's hard to know when it's fully pressed home. It looks like it's home, so we'll go with that. And finally, for the case reassembly, a new seal, and this is for the kickstart shaft to go through. Okay, it's time to fit the side cover, and again I've gone for a genuine gasket because it's a critical gasket. We've got oil passages that flow up through the case and into the cylinder. I'm using a genuine gasket because of the critical oil flow passages. So the pump pumps the oil up through this gallery here, which then goes through the case and injects itself into the main crank here, which works its way down and lubricates the bearings at the end. The first job I've got to do is insert the locating pins into their various recesses. This just to make sure that the case lines up squarely. There's one at the front and one at the rear, and I'll give them a bit of lubrication as well to help stop them rusting into place. And make sure I get my orientation right. Interesting, it's beige on one side and green on the other. Okay, and we can hang those on the dowels. And we can see that the oil passageways are not restricted. I'm using duct tape on the kickstarter shaft, doing it the same way that we did for the other one, because it works so well. I see no reason not to do that. So plenty of oil on there. I have to confess, I'm quite excited about this because it's at this point that you really know that you're starting to get there. I'm just lining up the seal at the bottom. Just walk it onto that. It'll probably pop out now. Oh, there we go. Come on. Don't you dare come out. Go on, wiggle on. Gently, gently. I don't want to tear up the new seal, so I'm being a bit careful with it. And it is just that that's holding us up. Come on. Come on. You're almost there. Maybe fitting the seal first was a bad idea. I thought I was doing myself. Ah, there we go. Just needed a bit of a push. There we go. Right. Get some screws in there quickly. Trying to be really careful not to scratch the paintwork because it is the nicest part on this bike, on this engine at the moment. We're making some progress. That is one different looking engine to what it was a few weeks ago. I'm particularly pleased with those side covers. I mean, they actually put the rest of the engine to shame. But never mind, we've done our best with it, with what we've got. Side cover, this bit looks a bit gnarly, but there's a plate that goes over there, so I didn't bother painting it, but all this compared to what it was like is just gorgeous. So yeah, so the case is all back together. I haven't torqued these outer screws down yet because I want to make sure that everything is kind of rotating okay. So I'd like to turn the engine over a couple of times before I start messing with the timing. So yeah, so I think the next job will be sort of the ignition points and all that malarkey. So yeah, really pleased.